June 4, 2026, a woman went to visit her sister at her apartment. The door was closed, and despite making many calls, her sister did not answer. Her sister never ignored calls, and now her phone was switched off too. Worried, she went to the apartment, rang the calling bell several times, but there was no response. She asked the neighbors for help, and together they opened the door. The moment they entered, they saw blood all over the floor and a strong metallic smell in the air. Nobody dared to go inside. Finally, the woman entered and was left completely shocked. Her sister was lying on the floor in a pool of blood with her wrist slit. Who was this woman? What happened to her? Was it murder or suicide? In this video, we will uncover the truth behind this case. Welcome to After Dark Crimes. Dr. Debosmita Paul was an assistant professor and English lecturer at Shivaji College. Originally from West Bengal, she was living in Delhi for work at Satam apartment. Along with teaching at the college, she was also involved in research work. Her family consisted of her father, mother, and younger sister, Devarati. Debosmita was already married, but things did not work out between her and her husband. Because of this, she was living alone in her apartment. Her life was going smoothly. She had no known enemies, and there were no major problems in her college life either. As with many cases, the police first suspected her husband. When they investigated him, he said, "We were not getting along, so we separated. Apart from that, I have nothing to do with this murder." The police then checked where he was on June 3 and June 4. His phone records and CCTV footage confirmed that he was in Bengaluru for work at his company during that time. With a solid alibi, he was removed from the suspect list. The police then reviewed CCTV footage from the apartment complex. Since many people regularly visited the building, they had to examine footage involving nearly 200 individuals. However, one family immediately caught their attention. Despite the intense summer heat, both the husband and wife were wearing masks, while their son was not. The three of them were seen climbing the stairs carrying a large bag, but the police still did not know which apartment the family had visited. They then questioned Debosmita's sister and asked if there had been any other problems in her life, such as a property dispute. Her sister replied that there was no such issue. However, Debosmita owned a large house in West Bengal, which had been rented out. The rent from that property was being collected by Debosmita herself, according to her sister. Then the police searched the house carefully. They found 3 glasses inside the apartment. There were no signs of forced entry, and no money, jewelry, or expensive items had been stolen. This made the police believe that the killer was probably someone known to Debosmita. They then focused on the 3 people seen in the CCTV footage. One strange thing stood out: the clothes they wore while entering were different from the clothes they wore while leaving. Police started tracing their movements and found that they had arrived in a cab. Using the vehicle number, investigators questioned the cab driver. He said, "I don't know anything. I picked them up from a guest house in Delhi and dropped them at the apartment. They told me to wait for 30 minutes and then returned. After that, I dropped them back at the guest house. I don't know anything else." Police then went to the guest house and asked about the 3 people. Most of the staff said they knew nothing, but one employee confirmed that 3 people had stayed there and later checked out. Investigators asked for the documents they had submitted during check-in. When the details were verified, the name and address turned out to be fake. It looked like the 3 had come with a carefully planned murder strategy. However, they made one mistake. they provided a real phone number. When police traced that number, it led them to Rimprasad Das and Banashri Das were identified through the phone number, and the police arrested them for questioning. During the investigation, a shocking story came to light. Rimprasad and his family had been living as tenants in Debosmita's ancestral house in West Bengal. Even though Debosmita was living 1,460 kilometers away in Delhi, she personally managed the property. In 2023, Rimprasad rented one portion of the house. Later, he requested another portion, and eventually he was occupying the entire property. He even opened a stationery shop there, which became successful and started generating a good income. Over time, Rimprasad began worrying that if Debosmita ever asked him to vacate the property, his business would be ruined. He came up with an idea: why not buy the house? He repeatedly approached Debosmita and offered to purchase it, but she refused every time, saying it was her ancestral property and she would never sell it. Rimprasad kept asking, but Debosmita remained firm. Finally, she warned him that if he continued pressuring her, she would ask him to vacate the house and even go to the police if necessary. This made Rimprasad furious because the very thing he feared most was now becoming a reality. According to the police investigation, that was when he began thinking that if Debosmita was no longer alive, the property issue would disappear. Rimprasad and his wife allegedly planned the murder carefully. They used fake documents, changed modes of transportation multiple times by using autos, trains, and cabs, and even brought their son along so the trip would look like a family vacation. After reaching Delhi, they stayed at a guest house and later hired a cab to Debosmita's apartment. They rang the doorbell, and Debosmita, recognizing them as people she knew, invited them inside and even offered them water. While they were talking, Rimprasad allegedly attacked her unexpectedly by striking her on the head with a heavy stone grinder. She collapsed unconscious. He then allegedly used a razor blade to slit both of her wrists, causing severe blood loss that led to her death. Investigators believe their son witnessed the aftermath from another room. After the murder, the couple allegedly cleaned themselves in the bathroom, changed clothes, packed the blood-stained items into a bag, put on masks, and left the apartment. Police later arrested them, and the case is currently going through the courts. It is a tragic end for Dr. Debosmita Paul, an English professor who had many dreams and ambitions for her future.